Good morning. Maybe I need to use my non-preacher voice. Yes. Good morning. Good morning to each of you. Thank you for coming. Wow, what an awesome crowd that I see. Bright eyes, and like they used to say, bright eye and bushy tail this morning. And we are so glad to have you. We are grateful. There is a wonderful, this is a great day in Richmond, the region, and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and our nation, as we begin to look at how do we move forward, something that we began to explore over 25 years ago. And so we are delighted at this time to have you to be a part of this journey. I am certain that it will be the insight that you will walk away with today is certainly, I believe, will be pleasing to each of you. But again, thank you for coming. And at this time, I'm going to ask that the Reverend Dr. Marquita Carmichael will come and do invocation. And as she comes, I want us, the first thing to do, just pause for a moment to remember and to think about our buddy, our partner that I know is here in spirit, Reverend Sylvester Turner, who, and I'm not gonna get mushy, okay? I'm gonna try not to anyway. But I certainly want to remember him on this day, one who was part of a big part of this journey. And so we just wanna pause a moment. Dr. Carmichael.
Let us pray. Eternal God, God of our weary years and our silent tears, we pause on this sacred ground to acknowledge your presence. This ground remembers the footsteps of African men, women, and children who were brought here in chains. It remembers families separated, names stolen, lives diminished, and humanity denied. Yet this ground also remembers courage, resistance, faith, survival, and the determination of a people who refused to surrender their souls. Today, God, we gather not merely for ceremony, but as witnesses and stewards of a sacred story. Bless every elder, descendant, historian, advocate, faith leader, public servant, and community member who has labored to preserve the history of Shockoe. Bless the Shockoe Legacy Foundation. Grant its leaders wisdom, courage, integrity, and strength for the work ahead. Remind us that we are not building only with brick, stone, glass, and steel. We are building with memory, with truth, and the names of people who were once treated as nameless. Let remembrance lead to responsibility. Let truth lead to repair. Let education lead to enlightenment, and let enlightenment lead to empowerment. Bless all who will speak today. May their words carry vision, commitment, and the courage to fulfill the promises made to this community. Ancestors of Shockoe, we remember you. We remember those whose names are known and those whose names were stolen. We carry your memory, and we declare that you will not be forgotten. So may this place rise as sacred ground for truth-telling, for learning, healing, justice, and hope. In the name of the God who sees, the God who remembers, the God who liberates, and the God who calls us all toward justice, we pray. Ashe and Amen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carmichael, for welcoming in the other spirit that we need today, right? I, at this time, again, want to extend a warm welcome to, and there are many individuals who are going to be speaking, but I certainly want to recognize them. Attorney General Jay Jones, my friend, and no guess, I don't really need to call his name, but Mayor Danny Abula. President Dr. Cynthia Newbill, Henrico County Board of Supervisors Chairman Dr. Roscoe Cooper III, Reverend Ben Campbell, and members of the Shockoe Legacy Foundation. Would you please stand, the members of the Shockoe Legacy Foundation? Thank you. Other distinguished guests and elected officials, community leaders, descendants, educators, students, and members of the media, and all of those who are our honored guests. Your presence today speaks to the importance of this moment. We have come here just to remember and to reflect and to come together to begin to, again, to continue to reflect on our history, but also honor the lives and the sacrifices and the contributions of those whose stories have often gone untold. As we gather in remembrance, we reaffirm our commitment to preserving this history and sharing it with future generations and continuing the work of truth, understanding, and reconciliation. Yes, today we do stand on sacred ground. Shockoe is more than a place on a map. It is more than a chapter in Richmond's history. Shockoe is a witness, and it bears witness to thousands of individuals, enslaved African men, women, and children who came through here, who were bought, sold, and imprisoned, separated from their families. But it also bears witness to something else. It bears witness to survival. It bears witness to resistance. It bears witness to a people of faith. And it bears witness to the enduring determination of a people who refuse to allow oppression to have the final word. And we are a part of that journey, bearing witness to it. Thank you again for being here. At this time, I want to take the opportunity, and he has already informed me that he's here, and he must be here. He's going to be here, but he had to leave right after he speak. And so, I want to, at this time, invite Attorney General Jay Jones to come, and as he has joined us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let me first start by saying that when Dolores McQuinn asks you to be somewhere, you show up. She is a woman who I've known for a long time. She made sure that I ate my vegetables when I was a member of the General Assembly. Thank you for spearheading this, Dolores, for all that you do for the Richmond community, for the Commonwealth. Give Dolores another round of applause. But I'm honored to be with all of you here this morning, and as many of you know, my family's story is woven into what we are highlighting here today. As the 49th Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the first black person to hold this role, it is never lost on me where I have come from. My roots trace back to Hampton Roads, where some of the first Africans arrived in this country more than 400 years ago. From those earliest generations, my ancestors helped build the Commonwealth through their labor, their knowledge, and their resilience. They endured the Middle Passage, slavery, black codes, Jim Crow, segregation, fought for freedom, and helped advance civil rights here in Virginia. And I know today I stand on their shoulders, not only to honor their sacrifices, but to continue their legacy and continue their work. The pursuit of justice, as we all know, did not end with emancipation. It continues with our committed preservation of history, protecting sacred burial grounds and recognizing the lives and contributions of those whose stories are far too often overlooked. Virginia cannot tell our story without telling their story. Richmond cannot celebrate its growth without acknowledging the people whose labor, whose innovation, and perseverance helped make it all possible. Honoring Black history is not just about revisiting the past with guilt. It is about embracing truth with integrity and ensuring that every generation understands the full story of this Commonwealth. And again, as a descendant who lived this history through them and with my own story, I'm here not only to seek remembrance, but justice. Justice through recognition, through preservation, through education, and a lasting commitment to honor those people whose lives laid the foundation for the Virginia that we benefit from today. That's why I'm so happy to be here to support the Shockoe Project and its dedication to telling the story of overlooked Virginians and enslaved Virginians and free Virginians that once stood here where we are today. So again, thank you for having me. Thank you to the Foundation for your enduring commitment to this cause. It is things like this that make our Commonwealth better, stronger, and build a brighter future for every single one of us. So may God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless this wonderful Commonwealth. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Attorney Jay Jones. Jay is the first African-American Attorney General in the state of Virginia, and we are awesome, so happy to have him to be standing on the front line for us, fighting lots of folks, calling no names. But thank you again. Thank you so much. At this time, I also want to recognize Delegate Ray Cousins, one of my colleagues, Representative McClellan's District Director, Taylor Thornhill. Taylor is here. And Sheriff Irving, thank you for coming. All right. At this time, we want to bring up the mayor, Danny Avula, the mayor of the city of Richmond. And I just want to say, as he comes up, walk slow so I can talk long. Just kidding. I want to say thank you to Mayor Avula. Mayor Avula has been such a partner in this. Matter of fact, he hit the ground running as he came in, and we shared with him what was going on, trying to bring him up to a place where he really, and not that he didn't understand, but to know what we were doing, what we had done. And so I am so proud to have him as a partner in this development, in moving this forward. We are absolutely certain that this will be done, it will be completed to a degree for this generation, and then we will pass the mantle on to the next generation. But Mayor Avula, thank you so much for the work that you have done and for your commitment to making certain that this happened, not just for the city of Richmond, but again, for the region, for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and for the nation. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is really a joy to welcome you here to Main Street Station and to this site, this hallowed ground. You know, there's amazing work happening here, and I really do think that this 10-acre area that we look out upon now is one of Richmond's most significant cultural and historical initiatives. And I, have been accused often of being a Richmond booster, but I actually think it's one of the most significant sites in the entire country. And while Delegate McQuinn thanks me, a latecomer to this party, the real thanks goes to the delegate and to so many others who for decades have been invested in this vision. And it really is just such an honor here today to see our local leadership, the chair of our city council and the chair of our county supervisors in Henrico, Reverend Cooper and Dr. Newville here. It's an honor to have our state partners come and pledge their support with Attorney General Jones and Delegate Cousins and Delegate McQuinn, obviously. Thank you to our federal partners. We could absolutely not do any of this without the full force of so many people who are needed to make something like this a reality. So today we are actually here to celebrate the official launch of Phase 2 of this work, the Phase 2 of the Shockoe Project development. That's Lumpkin's jail and Pavilion. Many of us were gathered here just downstairs for the opening of Phase 1 back in April, the unveiling of the Shockoe Institute's stunning Expanding Freedom exhibit. And I want to thank Marlon Buckner, and I see Todd Waldo here. Thank you guys for your leadership, for bringing world-class experts to Richmond to help make that Expanding Freedom exhibit something that everybody should see. I was just there on Monday. We actually held our cabinet meeting in the Shockoe Institute space downstairs, and much of my leadership team got a chance to wander through the Expanding Freedom exhibit. It's probably the third time I'd been through there. Learned something new every time. But it is a, to be able to open up Phase 1 in April and now to start the second phase in Lumpkin Slave Jail, knowing that there are many more phases ahead of us as we envision the full development of this 10-acre area. And it is super exciting to just see this vision starting to come into existence, because the vision started over 30 years ago. It started when a small group of spiritual leaders here in Richmond who began dreaming about how God would somehow redeem the story of this city, and especially the story of this place here in Shockoe. This place that was once the heart of the Powhatan Confederation, this land that later became the destination for thousands of Africans who were brought up the James River to Ankaro's Landing, who were then walked along the trail of the enslaved into this complex of auction houses and offices and slave jails. This land that had become the birthplace of the domestic slave trade here in America, and the center of a city that became the capital of the Confederate States of America, doing everything they possibly could to preserve the abhorrent institution of slavery. And we are so indebted to that group of pastors, to Reverend McQuinn, to Reverend T. Turner, who sadly was taken from us this last year, to Reverend Ben Campbell, to folks who prayed and labored and would not let go of the question of how this place could somehow be used for good. And you all laid the foundation of what is unfolding here today. I think one of the central answers to that question is truth-telling. And it has become one of the pillars of our strategic plan here in the city, the Mayoral Action Plan. We believe that telling the full and unvarnished truth about our history is essential, because truth-telling is how communities heal. It's how we honor one another, and it's how we chart a better path forward. I spent many years leading our city and county's health departments here, and a huge focus of our work was analyzing and addressing the root causes of racial health gaps. And it wasn't hard to see how the collective trauma that was experienced by enslaved people over the past few centuries, and then more recently, the decades of racially driven policies and practices, how those things have limited opportunity for Black people, and how that has led to persistent disparities in social, educational, and health outcomes. And so we see the demons of Richmond's past continue to wreak havoc on the present. And I absolutely believe that we cannot find our way to healing or to thriving without telling the full story of how we got here. And that's what this project, the Shockoe Project, is all about. It is an invitation for people to face our history honestly, not to dwell in the past, as Attorney General Jones said, but to understand it and to learn from it. We want to take this whole area that was central to the story of enslavement in America, and we want to turn it into a place for education and remembrance and engagement. We want to enshrine the legacy and the stories of people who lived and labored and suffered, and use those stories to fuel our collective devotion to a more just future. So the next phase of this project is the Lumpkin Slave Jail excavation, and it is a perfect example of how this work will play out, because Lumpkin Slave Jail was Richmond's largest slaveholding facility. The owner, Robert Lumpkin, was notorious as a jailer, brutalizing enslaved people for over 20 years. He was particularly known for his cruelty, publicly beating and torturing those who tried to escape, cramming so many people into incredibly confined spaces with no toilets, left to lie in their own excrement. And over 20 years of that, thousands of enslaved people passed through this complex. It actually became known as the Devil's Half Acre. Ironically, the jailer, Robert Lumpkin, ended up marrying one of his slaves, Mary Lumpkin. And in an extraordinary turn of history, after Lumpkin died, he left all of the property to her. Now, Mary began leasing the land to a Baptist minister named Nathaniel Culver. And Reverend Culver began teaching and training and engaging, and ultimately established a seminary for newly freed Black Americans on the site right here. And that seminary ultimately evolved into our beloved HBCU, Virginia Union University. Now that is a remarkable story of redemption for a place that was once marked by so much horror, that place could then become a place of life and learning and possibility. I think it's also a story that offers a very practical prescription for healing, right? How our money and land can actually be redirected for restorative and reparative purposes. And I think that's a story that needs to be heard not just by the people of Richmond, but by our entire nation. Our hope is that this excavation effort and the pavilion that will be built over it will stand as a place that this story and Mary Lumpkin's legacy and so many others can be shared, where the lives of those who endured unimaginable suffering here will be honored, and that those stories of pain and resilience will ultimately be vehicles of healing. You know, we've been reflecting on our country's history this 250th year, and we find ourselves in a place where the future of our multiracial democracy is being challenged in ways that I don't think many of us ever could have imagined. And so each day, I am more and more convinced that there is no better time than now for that healing work to begin. And so I want to thank you for being here today, for your ongoing commitment and partnership to this work, and for seeing the work not just here today, but for years to come, because this is the kind of work that brings healing to Richmond, to the Commonwealth, and ultimately to our entire nation. So thank you. So again, I'd like to bring up our leader, the founder, and the chair of the board of the Shockoe Legacy Foundation, Reverend McQuinn.
Mayor Abula, thank you so much again. We certainly do again. We appreciate just your commitment, your passion for the work and all that you are doing and allowing your staff and administration to do as well. We do appreciate it. At this time, we're going to bring on the president of Richmond City Council, the Honorable Dr. Cynthia Newbill. I'm always speechless when it comes to her because there's so much I could say, so much I could tell them. We have certainly she's been one of the greatest advocate and friend and confidant that anyone could have. I can guarantee all of those things that I have told her, that when she leaves the earth, it all leaves with it, right? Which would be a long time from now. But anyway, Dr. Cynthia Newbill, President of Richmond City Council.
Thank you, Delegate. I'm a little more, I think I'm getting shorter or something. Okay. Mayor, it's always a challenge following you because a lot of the history in this site, I can now cut, because the delegate did ask me to be brief, so I can cut down, okay. But that Sankofa moment that allowed us to look back, oh wow, thank you. Okay, allowed us to look back, to remember, to recognize, to appreciate, looking at this site, being the largest in the city of Richmond, the second largest in this country after New Orleans, and all that you shared with us. But the good news with the Sankofa moment is we also move forward, and that's what you talked about and shared. So You got spared all of the going back to the 1800s, but I thank you for that overview, lest we forget. And so today, my more immediate charge after the mayor has given us the overview, I want to say thank you for being here this morning. And I'm going to try not to be too mushy either. This is the launch of the Lumpkin's Slave Jail Pavilion, which is the centerpiece of the Richmond Shockoe Project. This official launch of the Richmond Shockoe Project is a partnership between the City of Richmond, Mayor, thank you so much, and the Shockoe Legacy Foundation, all of its members, but also all of the other partners who are here, our state partners, federal partners, local partners, staff, organizations. Just want to say thank you. And the good news for me, as I look at the project overall, I think of a quilt, and I think I've shared this with you before. The Shockoe Project represents the quilting of the various components of this work that was started under the leadership of Delegate McQuinn, your unwavering commitment, and the members of the Slave Trail Commission is unparalleled. We would not be here except for that. I want to say thank you. But the quilt will give us the centerpiece, the Lumpkin Slave Jail, the Mary Lumpkin Event Lawn, the African Burial Ground, the National Memorial of the Winfrey Cottage, the Shockoe Hill African Burying Ground, the Slave Trail, and the National Slavery Museum. And so, again, if you think of all of those parts and pieces, with this project bringing them together now as a quilt in our community, that really allows us to tell the whole story, the whole truth. The Institute downstairs you've been to, kickoff component. And so there are some other accomplishments that predate, certainly. We have the reconciliation statue over here, which you're aware of, and the establishment of the slave trail, and I can go on in terms of the prior accomplishments. But this Shockoe Project, bringing all 10 acres from across the water to here, that is what we've been aiming for. Delegate, thank you. Mayor, thank you for your willingness to partner to make this a reality for our city, for our region, for our country, and globally. That's that kind of story. And so I apologize. I had tried to talk to myself so I wouldn't be too mushy. But it's that kind of moment today. It really is. And I look over here at a person who's been walking beside, I think that gentleman, Mr. Pinnock over there, been doing a few things. And Ms. Welliver has been doing a few things in this. And I just want to say thank you. I cannot, thank you. So thank you on behalf. Thank you on behalf of the Richmond City Council, the citizens of the City of Richmond. This has been a journey of collaboration, cooperation, transformation, and today we honor all of those who have worked diligent over the past 3 decades to make this a reality and to make this happen. So I look forward to all the rest of the ribbon cuttings. Delegate, Mayor, we have the exact date there? I'm ready. No, okay. Not quite? Okay, well, I won't be as mushy by the time we get to that. But thank you all. Thank you all. and delegate the board, Shockoe Legacy Foundation, the Slave Trail Commission, and all who have gotten us to this point. This is not to be underestimated, what it took to get here. You know, it is not, and I just really say thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Newbill, and she said asked her to be brief. I never really asked her to do that because she's not going to be. No, you were fine. You were fine. Thank you so much, and thank you again for your passion and just your commitment to this as well. You have worked hard as the liaison between the foundation and the city, particularly, making certain that things were in place, and so we certainly appreciate you and appreciate all that you do as a member of the foundation. At this time, I want to bring up the Honorable Roscoe D. Cooper, the Reverend Dr. Roscoe D. Cooper III, and I have been knowing this young man since probably he was about 10, 11, 12. Can I tell them how I met you? In the mountains. I won't tell them that you were running around the mountain. I just said I met you in the mountains. No, Dr. Cooper, I've been knowing him as a young man, and it's been just how God has just blessed him, developed him, created this just awesome individual that is serving our Commonwealth, serving Henrico County now as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and just doing phenomenal work, you know, in the eastern part of Henrico with his church, Rise Mount Zion Baptist Church. And I just want you, there are several young men that I really, really have the greatest love for that's in the region. He is one of them. And so at this time, please come up, Dr. Cooper.
Well, good morning, everyone. This occasion is so humbling for me. I am a proud product, a double graduate of Virginia Union University. And I wasn't asked to be pastoral or be a preacher, but I just could not help myself by quoting what John chapter 1, verse 5 says. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. I think this is very apropos today, that we're shining the light on what once was a place of evil, but now the Lord is making it a place of good. As Delegate McQuinn has stated, I'm Roscoe D. Cooper III. I am the chair of the County Board of Supervisors in Henrico County, and I'm here to bring greetings in support of this project from Henrico County. As we stand here today, on the site once known as the Devil's Half Acre, for its horrible and heinous and horrendous conditions for the hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans who were bought and sold in Shockoe Bottom. We pause to reflect, we pause to remember a painful part of Richmond and our nation's history. Slavery was human trafficking. In the years leading to the Civil War, the buying and selling of black people constituted almost 50% of Richmond's economy. Here visitors learn about the brutal reality that black people were considered to be inferior and shipped into slavery as the nation developed. As American racial slavery provided an economic engine for agrarian era, decades of struggle have ensued for blacks in the United States of America, from segregation and civil rights to racial profiling and even redlining. It's been a long climb for our nation to live up to its foundational creed that all are created equal. Much progress has been made over the last few years to educate and to inform, to highlight and enlighten about the slave trade that was centered right here in Shockoe Bottom. The interactive museum that opened early this year is one example of Shockoe Institute's continued growth. Today we celebrate, we come to commemorate and dream about this other milestone, an open-air pavilion over the Lumpkin's jail site. This archaeological treasure will help preserve our shared history of a period many people would rather forget, As we just celebrated America's 250th anniversary, I am grateful for the bravery of the Shockoe Institute. I am thankful for their dedication, their temerity, their commitment, their perseverance, their vision to honor the memory of the enslaved people who helped build this city and this nation. Can we give them a hand, please? I echo the sentiments of the mayor and our attorney general. I am honored and I congratulate those who have kept the flame and the faith going. I'm indebted to your commitment, your constancy, and your courage. Congratulations to our friends with the city of Richmond and the Shockoe Legacy Foundation on reaching this momentous occasion. And I want you to know that Henrico County is grateful for these efforts, and we stand in solidarity with you. And we wish you much success as you continue moving forward with this important project. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cooper. And for those of you who may not know, actually, if you go 8 blocks going east, you hit Henrico County. Henrico County Courthouse is right there on Main Street. So it wasn't far, you know, and I can just imagine those lines being crossed every day. And so it was only fitting that we would have Henrico County and to be a part of this day, the launching of this event. At this time, I'd like to bring in one of my partners in crime, Reverend Benjamin Campbell. If he would come, Dr. Campbell, Reverend Campbell, who has been, certainly, he's the secretary of the foundation, but the three of us, Ben and Sylvester and I, oh my goodness, there are some stories that could be told. We're not telling them though, but there are some stories that could be told with us walking together in this and, you know, with others, but there have been many, many nights of, there have been tears, there have been, we never argue, but there have been, but it has been such an awesome opportunity to walk with you in this, Ben, and to have you as clearly one of the committed partners in making certain that this move forward, it gets accomplished. And so at this time, would you please come and share with us? Thank you.
Thanks, So one time I was asked to help plan an event for the Richmond Public Schools, and we put together a great schedule, and I had 8 preachers on it, and I gave them each 2 minutes. 2.5 hours later, we got out of there. Okay. So I just want to kind of talk to you about what's going on here. My president here is one dedicated human being. She won't quit. The vice president of the foundation and the president of the City Council of Richmond is one absolutely committed human being, and she won't quit. And that's also true of the folks of Bert and his people, and is true of Jeannie, and is true of a lot of people who have come to this point. And what I want to say is truth is powerful. It doesn't go away. It was 140 years from the end of the Civil War and the end of what happened over here, even the end of the founding of Virginia Union here, 140 years before Richmond even knew this place existed again. But a woman named Nancy Jo Taylor, who was a public school teacher for RPS, remembered. And before she died, she told us about the existence of Lumpkin Slave Jail. And then we got an archaeologist, and he went there and he dug a trench 48 inches square. I'll never forget looking down 10 feet and seeing a pristine courtyard under all of this rubble. And those stones tell the truth. We've got a Capitol up here that tells the truth of America's first revolution, And these guys, you know, this bunch of white guys, they really did invent a pretty significant government. And they stated some pretty firm ideals that they didn't practice. So we're in the middle of the other half of the American Revolution, right here, right now. That's the story we have to tell. And these stones tell it. You can't lie about the stones there. They tried. There was nothing in the city of Richmond that would tell this story. And what we've done now, as the beginning of the National Slavery Museum itself, which ultimately will be a large museum on the far north of Broad, and Dolores and T. Turner have been very clear that the scale of this museum and its priority is essential to tell the story. You don't get to have a little dinky box over against a $300 million Virginia Historical Society and VMFA to tell this piece of the story. And if we tell the whole story here in Richmond, we are proclaiming to America that we know who we were meant to be and who we can be. 2 revolutions, like I said, 2 minutes.
Hey, Ben, you operate like an Episcopal priest just now, but I'm just... That was not funny. Thank you, Ben. We're going to move right on. At this time, we are going to bring in another partner in crime, individual who's been walking with us for, it's probably been as long as we were, 25, 30 years, in the Bert Peanut. Bert has been the architect. He has been, well, many things Bert has been, okay, and helping to get us at this point. And so the project overview, he would come and with the project overview, the Pavilion vision, along with Riggs Ward design, and they will share with you for the first time, we are unveiling to the public the vision for Lumpkin's Jail Pavilion.
Unlike my predecessors, I will be brief. Yes, I along with this design team, have been working with these folks for a lifetime. It's been a lifetime. And so if you want to take all of that emotion that you've heard at this point, all of those feelings, all of that promise, and have someone come to your front door and say, now design me a building around that, that is our charge. So 2 years ago, we collectively presented a vision for this entire 10 acres from what would be this interpretive center that is now the Shockoe Institute to the future National Slavery Museum and to the Lumpkin's Pavilion now, which is phase 2, as the mayor said. It's physically about 14 feet below ground. You can't touch it. And what is interesting to me is when you encounter people who cannot see or touch something, they do not then understand it. I've had arguments with people that, no, the cottage there, that's the Winfrey cottage, that's not Lumpkin's slave jail. So this idea of creating something that has a physical presence that will allow you as a visitor to descend into this, touch the stones that have been talked about, that this is real. That's our charge. So the pavilion is quite simply a protectorate. Our charge is first to protect that which is there, to make sure that it is then preserved and that we then can interpret it for the public. So the 12,000 square feet, the next 12,000 square feet, that is the pavilion, will now rise about 24 feet. The idea that the team has worked on is that this is imagined out of that ubiquitous material of brick. As Virginians, no matter where you're from, you love your brick. We love our brick. Brick is as integral as dirt to this story. So the materiality of this pavilion rises out of the ground as a dark, solid brick mass. eventually finding its way to becoming a lighter, more open mass, rising from about 12 feet up to almost 30 feet. The future of the Shockoe Project will continue to rise out of that space. That metaphorical coming out of the ground, finding that which brings us hope and gives us direction, is the job of the pavilion. I will say also, we have sought to bring truth, firsthand truth, even as you approach this new pavilion. I had a couple of colleagues that visited the Institute, and in discussion afterwards, they were very moved. And one of them asked, "Where are the artifacts?" It's over here. It's about 12 feet underground. That thing that gives Richmond its center in this domestic slave trade is over here, about 12 feet underground. And so on the facade, what you will begin to see and what you see behind me is how we interpret not what someone else said someone saw, but the actual words, the actual witnesses. Eyre Crowe came in the 1850s and he painted a scene. And he noted 15 men, women, and children, an advertisement for them about to be sold. We are taking his words and interpreting them on this facade. We take the history of Anthony Burns by Charles Emery Stevenson, and right at the entrance to the pavilion, which sits in the footprint of the physical Lumpkin jail, is an outline of the jail and an outline of that small 6 foot by 6 foot room that is described in detail where Anthony Burns was held captive for months, at the foot of the window from which a little girl in Lumpkin's house could see him. The truth is here and the truth is there. All the way to the end where during the Writers' Project, the Federal Writers' Project, creating the slave narratives back in the 30s, Miss Nellie Gray recounted, "I remember being on the blocks as a 3-year-old and being sold out of Richmond. It's real." That's our job. That's our goal. So I'll cut it off there and say thank you, and I'll see you back here in 18-ish months. Oh, okay, for the ribbon cutting. Anyway, thank you all very much. Oh, okay, I am tasked with explaining the 4 boards. Okay, so I will start over here. Here, this is Jeannie Rowan. So here you're looking at a rendering of the pavilion as it would be seen from this angle, right? The entry point in the center is at the footprint of, as I mentioned, the Lumpkin jail. You would go in, and because this is literally on the edge of the floodway, there is designed into this building a flood wall. Because again, working with our partners at the Department of Historic Resources and the City of Richmond and other agencies, we have the job to protect, as I said, what is there, these archaeological deposits and remains. Yes, and there is a map. Okay. I was trying to be brief, but then that didn't work out. So this, and if you want to, I'll hold this while you grab that other one. Yeah. All right, we'll start with, so the 1865 photo, the Russell photo here, you can see from Churchill, you can see the outline of Lumpkin's compound, the house, the kitchen, the top of the jail. And part of the interpretation, see now I need to go on, part of the interpretation of this space is to understand that there's not 1, not 2, not 5, not 6, but dozens of traders, auction houses, I like to tell people it's as ubiquitous as Starbucks. On every corner, you can buy my product on every freaking corner. So that's part of our job. So that was then. This is now. We're standing here above the Shockoe Institute in this corner, looking out on the Lumpkin site. What you see in the darkish blue color is the 100-year floodway. Okay. We're just on the edge of it with the building that's above. The remains are actually below the floodway. So this pavilion will go down and extend below the floodway. So there's a lot of work with the Department of Planning, DPU, Building Commissioner, Inspections, DPW, to make this possible. And lastly, this is a cross-section, as if you were to cut right through the future pavilion with the archaeological remains here below, the pavilion above. The arch sewer, what used to be Shockoe Creek, is also buried here and is out here under the ground. So there's a lot of infrastructure in this ground to also deal with. With that, did I cut it all? All right, okay. I got a team back here who are also here. If you have questions afterwards, we have minutes. So Laurinette, I want to give the podium to you so we can make. Oh. I'll let you introduce you.
Bert, I think this is yours. What an honor to be here today. We don't know from day to day whether we will see the next moment. Thank you. And to remember those who never thought we would remember them is something very special. Places like this, though it holds a lot of horror, also holds hope. And this demands honesty. I'm so thankful for the foundation that you have laid. It's a strong foundation. It gives us a great deal to go on as we move forward. And I am so grateful to be working with Riggs Ward Design Firm on this significant historical site. My field is in 19th Southern history. We're working the belly of the beast. Even though it is the centerpiece, we must always remember this is where horror happened on a regular, daily basis. But out of that horror grew hope. And it's a hope that we must always remember as we think about this site and what it reveals to us. There is the opportunity to become renewed in our spirit. The Shockoe Project and our involvement at Riggs Ward will create an immersive, interpretive experience that invites visitors to understand both the brutality of slavery and the extraordinary resilience of those who endured it. It is through storytelling, visual interpretation, archaeology, and historical research that visitors will explore the themes of enslavement, resistance, family, emancipation, education, resilience, hope, empowerment, and enlightenment. This experience will not ask visitors to simply remember history. It will invite them to consider how its legacy continues to shape our communities today. Historic preservation is an investment in education, tourism, economic development, and civic identity. We at Riggs Ward are totally invested in telling the truth, no matter how painful it is. And as a member of the team, I will always remember what T. Turner told me, my last conversation with him. Laurinette, we need to hear your voice. You can count on me and our team at Riggs Ward to tell the whole truth. This is our moment to engage in that revolution and to become a renewed society. In Proverbs 29:18, we find the words, where there is no vision, the people will perish. We will not perish. Thank you.
So at this time, basically, we will be just coming with a few closing remarks. Mr. Mayor, is there anything else you want to say? You okay? This has been, this opportunity, this moment that you are a part of is really an extraordinary moment, just getting to this place, to being able to reflect and remember those who have passed through here, and the fact that we are now taking their space that they occupied. And making not only the space be reflective of what many folks had to endure and survived, but also it's a space that I would hope, as we continue to develop it, continue to tell the story, continue to unfold the truths, that there is rest for the weary. And I say that from a personal experience that I had years ago when I first walked the slave trail. And I was on the side of Lumpkin's, of Ann Carroll's Landing. And I spoke at the University of Virginia, and I talked about what I'm sharing with you, and I told them, I said I thought that it was absolutely necessary to tell them that I don't drink and I don't smoke those funny cigarettes, okay? Do you all know what the funny cigarettes are? And so I was in my right frame of mind at the time. But when I walked on Ann Carroll's Landing, this place that I was just walking to began to better understand the history in Richmond and the history of those who had passed through. And I got at a certain place on Ann Carroll's Landing, and all of a sudden, something happened to me that is so difficult to explain. And Dr. Cooper, I prayed and prayed for months because I wanted to know what happened that day to me. I was at this standstill. I was travailing. There was a heaviness on me that I could not explain. I was even trying to get out of that space and could not get out of that space just walking. I was being held down, and I couldn't understand it. And so finally, after months and being perplexed and just wanted it answered, and through my prayer life, it was a day that, or evening, that God revealed to me that you didn't know them, but they knew you. These are the exact words that I've been walking away with for years. You didn't choose them, but they chose you. And so not that it's just a place, it's a place with a spirit that we have to give rest to. And that's why I have been doing this and working with these folks all these years, because I know I can't walk away, Mayor Avula, until it happens, and we have given rest to the spirit of those who still are at unrest because of the trauma of what happened here in history. Not only do I want to give rest and make sure, but I want to make certain that, and I believe all of us, that this is going to help future generations to understand that history is not distant. History lives in our institution, in our neighborhoods, in our families, and the choices we make every day. That's why this project also matters to, making certain that we bring young people along, our children. But our young people deserve to know that the African American history did not begin in chains. They deserve to know of the civilization and the culture and the knowledge and spiritual traditions our ancestors carry with them. They also deserve to know that even under the most brutal conditions, enslaved people maintained their humanity. They created community, they resisted oppression, they built institutions, they pursued freedom and helped shape this nation. This work also calls us to examine the present. We cannot stand on sacred ground, speak of injustice in the past, and remain silent about the injustice today. We cannot honor those families who were separated and ignore families who are still struggling against poverty, displacement, violence, unequal education, and barriers to opportunity. Remembrance must lead to our responsibility. History must lead to action, and truth must lead to transformation. And in being transformation, reconciliation always comes about. And so I am grateful for everyone, and we are grateful for everyone to help carry this vision forward. It's an honor, from those who are operating the camera to those who have been committed other ways, for you to be here. We honor you today for honoring this moment and being a part of this journey. I'm especially to the Shockoe Legacy Foundation. You all please stand again. And Felicia Cosby is here from VUU. We have an awesome responsibility, and I believe every one of us who are here today are willing to take it on to continue to run with this mantle. We must create something that speaks names, honor their lives, and teach generations yet unborn that there was a people, a strong people, a determined people, and because they lived, we are here, and we are determined to tell their story. Thank you so much for coming, and all of those who helped to make this a great day in the history, again, of Richmond, Commonwealth of Virginia, and this nation. It is work before us, and we thank you for being a partner with us. God bless you. Have a great day. Okay. All right, can we get those, Mayor and everybody who was a part of it, you come on up and so we can take a picture, please. I'm assuming somebody have a camera. Oh yeah, come on, Shockoe Legacy Foundation, please. You all come up as well.
I don't know how we're going to do
Neil?
The media guys are like, you guys will stand here. So
Right here?
We're going to shoot outside.
Right here?
Yeah, like
Okay.
outside. Like first.